I don't understand why you have such a problem with me just making an honest living.
You're stealing all of our seeds and gold.
What, that's a problem now? These are my favorite updates. Small little changes that have huge knock-on effects throughout the whole game. For those out of the loop, both farming and thieving have had some minor tweaks that have had some significant impacts. First off, farming. Nothing can die anymore. Immortality arrived. Maybe it's a curse. To live forever beset by disease and pain, never knowing the grace of oblivion. Is it truly so majestic? Unending existence. Stone will crumble before you even consider breathing your final breath. Around you, the world becomes ancient, and yet you are still young. When will it end? What's cool is you can leave a plant diseased and attune a farming amulet to it, effectively creating a permanent teleport to the patch as long as you don't cure the diseased plant. Pretty nice. More importantly, there are these druids who will reward you for growing herbs. Different herbs grant different amounts of Cruxical favor, with high-leveled ones granting more, obviously. But growing the daily herb will always yield 50 favor per seed. Why do I specify per seed? Every patch can only grow a single seed at a time, right? No, you silly moron. God, you embarrass yourself. You see, you can buy these unlocks from the Cruxical and they'll teach you how to plant multiple herb seeds in a patch. They want you to plant herbs because Gothics or something, I don't know. The lore here is a bit ham-fisted for the sake of content, but that's fine. There's a catch to planting multiple seeds, however. Although you harvest more herbs per patch by planting a bunch of seeds, you actually get fewer herbs per seed. The main idea is that you're trading yield for time. You can burn through a stack of seeds very slowly, one per patch for hours and hours, or you could do one mega farming run, plant 70 seeds across 7 patches and get fewer herbs, but you get them much sooner. You also get increased favor since it's based on the number of seeds you plant, not the number of herbs you harvest. The conceit was to make farming the primary method of getting herbs. Monsters do still drop herbs, but not nearly as much as they used to. And herb drops from bosses have been almost universally replaced with seeds. Let's check over at the PVMers and see how they're holding up. They've only recently recovered from the Stone Spirit fiasco of 2019, so I'm hopeful they've developed a healthy coping mechanism. Alright, they're a bit grumpy, I'll just leave them to it. The rest of the unlocks are pretty self-explanatory. Faster herb growth, faster incense stick creation, incense sticks last through death, farmer's outfit pieces so you don't have to step foot in Cabbage Face Punch Bonanza ever again. I really like the buckets all the way down upgrade. Buckets are such a pain in the ass to get that the only reasonable solution isn't to add bucket packs to the shops, but instead to allow us to manifest buckets ex nihilo at the compost bins. I actually think the new meta for collecting buckets will be casting the Compost Mound Familiars special on the bin over and over again, generating compost, collecting the compost, then emptying the buckets. Couldn't hurt, right? There's even a 10% chance that the compost mound will generate super compost rather than normal compost. Kinda cool. Honestly, the most exciting addition to farming was the liquid patch bombs. Since plants can no longer die, the miraculous treatment invention product no longer served a purpose. It functions identically to the patch bombs you can get from that buggy minigame I mentioned earlier or from Sidekick's shop. And they're really cheap to make. Damn useful if you ask me. I love them. Now, the second part of this update, thieving changes. Previously, there was an archaeology relic called Sticky Fingers that would allow you to pick the pockets of any victim perpetually up until you get caught. Now, this effect is the baseline. You'll pick anyone's pocket until they tell you to stop with a closed fist. The relic now increases the speed at which you pick their pocket by 50%, so now you can pick pockets every 2 ticks or every 1.2 seconds. Assuming no interruptions, this means you can theoretically pick someone's pocket 3,000 times per hour. And how convenient that Jagex also added a couple new NPCs to steal from, the Cruxical Druids and the Cruxical Knights, requiring 42 and 83 thieving respectively. They carry the same stuff in their pockets but in differing amounts. The Knights have more loot per pick, so they're the go-to targets. Unfortunately, they catch you quite a bit. They're not like Priff Elves who let you keep going before they get bored and tell you to piss off. And they're not like the Cruxical Druids who are barely conscious and just let you ransack their robes with carefree abandon. I don't know what minimum boosts you need to have a 100% pickpocket rate with the Druids, but I do know that having 99 thieving, the Master Camo outfit, Gloves of Silence in the bank, and the Ardoin Diaries completed is probably more than enough. Here's the thing though, it's totally possible to get 100% success against the Knights, but it's a bit extra. First of all, you need the standard best in slot thieving gear. Master Camo outfit, Gloves of Silence in the bank, the outfit inherits their effect, I think. Ardoin tasks done, and the 99 thieving cape. But this isn't enough. You also need to use the Crystal Mask spell, have the Light Form prayer up constantly, and you need the 5-finger discount aura. Some will say you need the legendary version of the aura, but that's not quite true. You can get away with the tier 4 version, and all you need to do is summon a magpie familiar. The magpie provides an invisible +3 boost to thieving, and this seems to be sufficient to give you a 100% pickpocket chance against these guys with all the other buffs factored into it. Since the legendary version of the aura costs over 100,000 loyalty points, you may find it preferable to make a few dozen magpies instead. Up to you. You could also use the Abyssal Lurker using its scrolls to boost from 99 to 103 thieving. This seemed, when I tested it, to get you to 100% success as well, but you basically need to babysit your thieving boost, recasting a Lurker scroll every time your level drops below 103. I found the magpie method easier. So with all these buffs and bonuses, I thought it'd be fun to keep track of all the loot I could get from these guys. Since the aura lasts an hour, I figured doing an hour's worth of thieving 10 times throughout the week would give us a decent idea of what the loot would be. In retrospect, I should have just tracked the XP, because the theoretical maximum number of picks per hour is 3,000, then we could figure out exactly how much XP I would gain doing 30,000 picks. But I didn't even think of that until I was partway through the 10 hours because I'm a big old dummy. Before we tabulate the loot, let's look at what some of these items are, because several of them are new. First, the Sand Seeds. They're consumable teleports that bring you to the Garden of Kharid. Handy little things. Then there's the blue one, and it's not just a cosmetic change like when a company makes a new phone and adds an S or an X so it seems new. No, this seed has unlimited teleports. It's also tradable. And since the GE price in the examine text has been steadily dropping, I'm gonna assume it's actually very cheap to buy. I don't know, I'm an Ironman. But, you know, why not get one? There's no reason not to. There are universal growth potions and do exactly what they say on the tin. Pour it on a farming patch, any patch, and the plant within will grow to its final stage. I've been using them on fruit tree patches since those growth potions cost the most beans. You've got herb seeds, they're herb seeds, and there's these guys right here, anima stones, both elemental and catalytic anima stones. If you carry them while runecrafting, they add +2 to the runecrafting multiplier. Elemental stones work for elemental runes, obviously, catalytic work for all the other ones. However, this effect does not stack with power bursts of sorcery. If you craft 100 essence into 100 blood runes, you'll get 300 if you bring anima stones, 400 if you drink a power burst first, not 600. That's also not factoring in the boost you get from the Mauritania legs or the V% boost or however, additive, multiplicative, I have no idea how these things work. Just bring all the boosts you can and you'll get more runes than otherwise. I tested these on soul runes as well and the results were odd. This may be a bug, so I'd hold off on using them for that for now. Finally, GP. They're carrying a lot of GP in their pockets. The wiki says you'll get between 275 and 325 GP per pick, but there's a 7% chance to double pick because of the master camo outfit. There's also a chance to double pick just as a baseline thieving/agility bonus. I couldn't find what the actual chances of that occurring were, so I did a very limited test to get a decent average amount of gold I'd get. This will come in handy later, trust me. Basically, I picked their pockets 250 times and ended up with about 80,000 gold, which works out to 320 gold per pick. So at the end of this 10 hours, I'll divide the total gold by 320 and we can get a rough idea of how many times I actually picked their pockets in those 10 hours. Every hour was basically the same. A decent spread of seeds, more lower leveled ones than higher leveled ones, of course. Between 2,000 and 3,000 elemental anima stones, a few hundred catalytic stones, about a tenth of the amount of elemental, and sometimes 1 or 2 mystical sand seeds. The universal potions were quite rare as well. That's a tongue twister for me, oh my god. Quite rare. Yeah. Most hours resulted in none at all. One inventory shows me with 3, but this clip is from 2 hours of thieving. I had used my premier artifact to reset the aura and did a double. Here's a spreadsheet of the results. Why wouldn't I make a spreadsheet? Average raw GP is about 917.9 thousand per hour, half a mystic sand seed per hour, and 0.7 universal potions per hour. The most common herb seed was, unsurprisingly, guam. But strangely, Torstol wasn't the rarest. It was dwarfweed. Interestingly, and I use that word very loosely, is that it seems there's some sort of piecewise effect going on here. Like there are different tiers of seeds with different tiers of rarity. Dwarfweed, Fellstalk, and Torstol are around the same, as are Spiritweed, Terraman, Harrowlander, and Ranar. Marantil and Guam look grouped together. Then there's this awkwardness in the middle that looks more like a gradual decrease in rarity, but it doesn't seem to coincide with the seed level much at all. I'm guessing with a larger sample size, we'll either see the piecewiseness disappear completely, showing a more gradual increase in frequency, or more tiers will appear. Perhaps Irit, Avanto, and Quarm are in their own tier. Regalian Toadflax are in their own, and Snapdragon, Cadentine, and Lantidime are in another. I don't know why it'd be these herbs in different tiers, if there are tiers at all. I'd like to know how Jagex programmed the drop table, if it's strictly higher level means more rare, or if there are some exceptions plugged in for whatever reason. Anyway, let's talk about the 10 hours. 10 hours of pickpocketing should work out to 30,000 picks, as I've mentioned. Since every pick gives 320 GP on average based on my limited experiment, you'd expect to have 9.6 million GP at the end of 10 hours. But I only got 9.179 million GP, a difference of about 4.4%. With this amount of GP, I must have only picked 28,684 pockets, about 1,300 shy of 30,000. Rather than 3,000 per hour, I only picked 2,868 pockets per hour, 132 pockets fewer than I should have, which works out to 264 game ticks or about 160 seconds, 2 minutes 40 seconds. Why did this happen? I'm thinking human error is the culprit. What else would it be? Notice at the beginning of the grind, I wasn't getting nearly as much loot as I was toward the end. I got better at keeping my crystal mask buff up and didn't drop my prayer nearly as often. If my prayer dropped, I could get caught. If my mask fell off, I'd get caught. Not only does getting caught stun you for 4.8 seconds, but if you're not actively paying attention when it happens, you may go several dozen ticks just standing there. You need to recast Crystal Mask 12 times per hour. If you idle for at least a minute each time you get caught after forgetting to recast the spell, then you only need to do that twice per hour to lose 20 minutes of picking time over 10 hours. That's not even counting when your prayer drops and all you have is the mask protecting you. See, with just the mask, you have a lower chance of being caught, but if you are caught, you have a chance of not being stunned. You pretty much spend some ticks picking their pocket without getting loot. Wasted time. Moral of the story? Use Alt 1 to track your buffs and prayer points to make thieving more efficient. You heard it here first. Alt 1 aids and abets thieves. I also stole from the Cruxical Druids for 10 hours. Well, maybe it wasn't exactly 10 hours. They give 58 XP each, so 30,000 pickpockets would be 1.74 million XP, so I picked their pockets until I got that much more XP. Should have done that with the other druids, but, well, this grind was much easier for several reasons. First, I don't need to do anything besides click on them. No crystal mask, no prayers, no familiars, nothing. Just click. Second, I needed to write up a script for this video, and AFKing for seeds seemed like a decent idea. And third, I also wanted to play a little WoW since the new class became playable this week. It's pretty fun. And no, WoW's not being run by furries. Dragons are scalies, come on. Anyway, here's 10 hours of picking the pockets of the Cruxical Druids. The loot table is exactly the same, but the quantity is different. I think they also technically drop a hat, so I guess the drop table isn't exactly the same, but the hat's really rare and I didn't get one anyway, so the tables are basically the same. Regarding seeds, it seems you get around 4 to 6 times fewer from druids, except Snapdragon. That's quite the outlier, netting 8 times less from druids compared to knights. Gold is also about 4 times less. What's odd are the mystical sand seeds and the universal potions. I actually got more from the druids than the knights. Not much more, but more nonetheless. It leads me to believe that the drop rate for those items is the same for both Cruxical NPCs, but the success rate against the druids is more reliably 100%, so you roll for more chances at those more frequently. So was it worth it? 20 hours of thieving? Well, quite a few seeds, over 10 million raw GP, like 13 million thieving XP. There's also Fish Sticks, who has pockets full of fish. I pickpocketed him for about 20 minutes and got 1,200 fish, so that could be useful for feeding your dragons. Oh, I also got the thieving pet. So yeah, this was worth it. Look at him, he's so cute. Apparently, Jagex is planning on nerfing the XP from the Cruxical Knights. Admittedly, it's reasonable. They gave it a ludicrous amount of XP. I don't know how much they're going to be nerfing it by. Probably 25 to 50% is my guess. That just seems reasonable. I don't know if they're going to be changing the loot. I'm guessing not, because the loot's not that ridiculous. By the time I upload this video might already be out of date. Well, damn if that's the case, but I'm not going to not upload it because I already did the work and I wrote the script and I recorded the voice and the so here you go, is the video. Thanks for watching.